What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we are talking about all the tips for the road trips on the nutrition side, what to do when you're on the road, how to plan ahead, what to do at restaurants, truck stops, etc. We're diving into it right now. Yeah, I was jealous. It looked like a freaking beautiful day too. Like just
dude, it was like 72, out. No winds, no clouds. Like it was perfect. And it had been saying that all week on the weather report. So I was like, Wednesday afternoon, like that's what we're doing. We're going fishing. And so there's a national fish hatchery not too far. And then right off the hatchery, there's a youth only fishing creek. You have to be 16 or under or have a permanent disability license. And so it's like,
you're right. You should have been able to fish. No problem. Huh?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I can just fish there. But it's got what's it called? A boardwalk that's like all handicap accessible. And then there's platforms and stuff. So like for like the little ones, like they never actually have to even really get in the water. And so we were just kind of chilling on the boardwalks and let Cannon fish for a little bit. He hooked up with two good ones, and they both broke off. My fault on both of them. And so I felt so bad because like at the one we were trying to like kind of get downstream of it so I could get down in the water and get it in the net. And I stopped him where the boardwalk had a railing, and he let it, like it took off and the rod hit the railing and tension went tight and popped it off. And then the other one, I did get in the water, and I was trying to coach him, and I was like, Heather, you're going to have to help him. And he's steadily trying to reel, and like it wants to run, and he's just like, no, I'm reeling, I'm going to power this thing in. And like, he could not, cause it had to be huge.
It looked like a big fish.
Yeah. It had the rod bent in half. And so that one got off too. And I was like, dang, but he hooked them both on a San Juan worm that he helped me tie. So
that's awesome.
Like that was cool. So it's like, it's kind of coming full circle now. And I was really thinking that he wasn't going to be patient enough to like, do it by himself. And that's really the only reason that I hadn't taken him yet. And he did great. So I think that's going to kind of be our thing now. We'll go to that youth only area. Oh yeah. And then Charlie wanted a turn too. So she was all about it. She would try to set the hook like constantly though. Like I'm like, you have to watch that bobber. Like you can't just be like yanking it out of the water like all the time. She just wanted to do something. So
dude, that's awesome.
She might have another year or so before she gets it. But
yeah. How old is she now?
She's 2.5.
Yeah.
This month.
I'd say she's doing pretty dang good. Just getting out there and holding the rod and ripping it out of the water and putting it back in.
Yep. I mean, that's really all it is.
That's pretty much all I do anyway. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like me fishing.
When you're nymphing under a bobber. Yeah, I mean,
me too, bro.
This is Logan's style of fishing. Like Logan could throw it. We just put some spaghetti and meatballs on there, ate an egg and a worm on there. And Kenny did pretty good.
Oh, good.
I got more of a workout than I bargained for yesterday too, because then I floated. I floated the river yesterday after they left, and I parked down by the confluence where we were on the White when you came down and fished, and then I floated the Norfolk yesterday, and so the Norfolk meets the White, and I parked down where they meet, and there was high water on the Norfolk or on the one river, and then low water on the one that I was on. And so there was all this backwater coming up, and I had to like paddle my ass off to get back to the car. And I was like, this is awful. I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, it was just like this decision.
Yeah. The last half mile, the water's flowing at me. So it's like I'm paddling upstream. And I was like, oh, this is terrible.
That's brutal. They had a good workout though.
Oh yeah. It was a great workout. I'm feeling workout. It today.
Logan, you guys bucked some sheep yesterday?
Yeah, we did. We bucked. He got on 2, and so it was good. We practiced. We did some goat flanking, and the in-laws came over, and so my father-in-law could tell me how tall the grass is, and stuff like that. So it was great. It was fun. It was it was good.
Pearl snap today.
No, I found out. I didn't. I found out that they were coming, and I was like, I was gonna mow the yard today, and And so anyway, I had this big block of time to study. And so I studied a little bit and I was like, yeah, they're coming. I'm going to go ahead and mow the yard. So I got that done.
A testing time yet?
No, I haven't yet. I'm really wanting to. If it doesn't get done before the first week of July, it won't happen until this fall. Like, it just won't, because July is going to be crazy. August is going to be crazy. So I'm really hoping that I can feel confident enough. I am just going through the movement system. I'm going to go through all his stuff and see how I feel after that. But I really need to get the CSCS taken before this. I don't have to, but if I don't, it won't be until December, probably before, life, maybe before the NFL or something, before I'll even have a chance. And who knows even then, because we've got, another school in the fall and all kinds of stuff going on in September, October. So life is just coming at us quick. So anyway,
worst case scenario, if you don't pass, do you have to pay the full test price again?
But why is that the first place that why is that the first thing that you go to?
Well, I'm just
you just like go like, hey, when you fail, can you like you have to retake it? Literally,
you're
what
saying
you said.
that you're not confident enough to take it now is what I'm saying. So like, what's the deal? Like, what's holding you back?
I'm just saying that.
No. Logan's trying to play this game because he doesn't want to have to do the extended learning that's required. And after July, it changes to a certain amount of hours.
That's very true. The CEUs change. So in July, July, you don't have to do any CEUs because they're on a 3-year period. So you don't have to do any continuing education, because the beginning of that new 3-year period is whatever, 2024, January 2024. So you don't have to, if you get it like right now, you'd have to get some CUs, which isn't that big a deal. I started doing some research, and I think you have to have 2.
You're waiting on purpose.
It's not a big deal. Well, a little bit, but like I also am not ready to take it right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I could just walk into the testing center today and ace the thing. Like I want to be 100% confident. Now, with that being said, to answer your question, if you fail, that's a 2-part. It's the exercise science and then the practical applied. And so if you take the 2 parts, and they're 2 individual tests. So if you pass one and fail the other, you can retake just the one that you failed, but you have to wait 90 days, and you do pay like another fee to be able to go back in and retake the part that you failed. So, and I mean, I'm part of it. Doug's in there too. I'm part of.
I know,
group. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I know most certifications, like, you pay the one price up front, and then you have a smaller separate fee if you need to retake.
Yeah,
but I didn't know if theirs was like,
it's not
price
bad
again, because I know theirs is like only based off the testing. Like, you can get all the material and stuff basically up front, and then you pay for the test, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's like, and it's $340, and then I don't remember exactly what it is to take apart, but it's not that. It's
also an 800-page book.
Yeah, it's that's which is one of the resources. But the toughest thing about the CSCS is that it's not a textbook test. And so it's, for me, with no exercise science background, you have to not only know what's in the textbook, but understand the concepts, and then be able to take a concept from the textbook and apply it to a real world situation. And it is a huge textbook. And so you might get a question about 6'2", 225-foot, defensive lineman comes to you.
225 feet.
225 pound, excuse me. 225-pound defensive lineman comes to you, and he needs, number one, he needs help with his nutrition. So this is how many grams of protein, carbs, and fat. What recommendations would you give him? And you have A, B, or C, and you have to like look at what they've already given him. Then it's like, and then he wants to add muscle mass. So what reps and sets, what core exercises would you give him? Like, you have to be able to process all that stuff and be able to apply it. And that's once you get to the, which is great. I love that. But it's not like just regurgitating a bunch of let me memorize a bunch of stuff and just regurgitate it on paper, and all of a sudden I'm a CSCS. You definitely have to know your stuff. So I'm actively working on it. I've kind of stepped up here lately so that I can try to get it done before July comes, but we'll see.
I have done the opposite, and I haven't done shit in a minute before it. I studied really, really hard there for, dude, honestly, what
months?
What month are we in? 5. Yeah, it's been 4 months. I studied pretty hard for like 3 months, day after day after day, and I felt like I was at a point where I was getting close. I could take it, and then we just got busy, and I haven't. I definitely need to touch up on it, but I'm pretty sure I could pass it.
Yeah.
Right now, that's a bold statement, Cotton, but I think I could.
No, I think experience
We'll see
is
how
the
that
best
works out.
teacher, and you have so much more.
Exactly.
You've got 10, 15 years in the gym, real world practical application, which is what they all say. The textbook is fine to get the basics down, but really you need an internship. You need to go work with a strength coach somewhere. You need to have and luckily through our company I have a couple years, but which has been very helpful. But anyway, it's definitely a comprehensive exam, faux show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you get to explain like your process on these answers, don't you? Like why you come up with the.
I don't think so.
Or is it more just kind of...
It's all multiple
it's all
choice,
multiple
baby.
choice.
3 questions, A, B, and C for every single thing. So no short answers. So
is it OPEX is like that where you have to explain?
OPEX is explaining everything.
Yep.
But OPEX is more like a what's the thing where you get your master's where you write it up? Like a thesis,
like a thesis,
something similar to that. Yeah, in the sense that you're taking. I had to take 7 clients through the full OPEX process and write out every little thing.
Yep.
Like programming,
Yep.
check-ins, their goals, why I program certain things, their results after, blah blah blah, their nutrition protocols, why we prescribe those, based off of their goals, etc. You got it was like 90 pages that I ended up with that I turned into them. So it was.
I mean, I like that. Like that's what I.
Here's
feel
the
like
deal. Like if you're going to be a coach or like have aspirations of becoming a coach, I think the CSCS is outstanding. It's the
it's a
not
standard
premier.
for like top,
it's the highest standard, I would think.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's a lot of certifications out there that are, I think, a lot better for the beginning level coach, someone who's never done this before. Like Logan was saying, getting the reps in, learning how to coach is extremely important, and there's nothing that can replace that. So a lot of times you'll hear people that say, this coach has this, this, and this, and this. That's cool. But to me, I don't really give a shit about his certifications that much, in the sense that just because you're certified doesn't mean you can coach anybody.
Yeah.
And we see that day in and day out in this fitness industry, because you see highly certified
like
people.
The natural progression for kids coming out of an exercise science degree is like, okay, well then they go get their CSCS, but they still have no real world experience.
No real world experience.
Like you're really no better off than like just going and getting your NASM.
I couldn't
because
agree
you
more.
don't have the experience.
At that point, no.
And that's one of the things that I'm in a part of a group for coaches, and somebody said, I'm interested in getting a certification for personal training. What do you recommend? And my favorite comment on there was this guy said, whatever one you can get the cheapest on Groupon, and then go coach. That's where you'll really learn how to be a personal trainer. And I was like, boom, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it.
And dude, that's what tripped me up for so long, was because I was like, well, which one's the best? Which one's going to get me a job? Like, which one's going to do this? Which one's going to do that?
None of them.
And, it turns out, they're all, multiple choice answers, as long as you know the information and you can regurgitate it. Like, that's what gets you, in the door, basically. And so at the baseline, like, they're pretty much all the same. Maybe CSCS is a little different. Maybe OPEX is a little different.
OPEX is,
like, all the other ones, your ACE, your NASM, your ISSA, like, they're all basically the same. They're pretty affordable. Like, you just get whichever one's the cheapest, go start getting the reps in. And then, like, when I finally, somebody put it in that same context that you're talking about, Logan. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, stop dragging your feet, dummy. Like,
absolutely. I remember doing my first evaluation after passing my CPT from NASM, and I was and Doug, we're on a phone call, and we're both looking at this client's evaluation of a squat. And he's like, what do you think of his squat? And I'm like, well, this, there's like so many things wrong with it. And he's like, No, I mean, it looks pretty good. You've got to think about, his injuries. He's got to think about this. I'm thinking of the textbook. What does this textbook picture perfect squat need to look like? And oh man, I've got so much work to do here. And Doug's like, man, we can work with that. It looks pretty good. And that's when I realized that the last 10 weeks and a lot of the stuff I'm going to learn more from Doug than I did in the last 10 weeks and what I paid $1,200 for or whatever it was to pass the test. And so definitely getting real world experience is awesome. And the CSCS, the last thing that I had to say on it is it's more for me, it's not necessarily about the certification as much as it is some credibility. There's been a lot of personal trainers popping up that are wanting to infiltrate the rodeo space. And I love that. I think that that's a double-edged sword. I love that athletes have access to more people to choose from, and that there are more people that are concerned about rodeo and want the same things as we are. The flip side of that coin is that there's some that don't do a very good job and that are misleading other people. And so by having a CSCS, what I hope to do, and I know the same for Doug, I hope to be able to step into that realm and set us apart from the goons on Instagram that people might be encouraged in following.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think we already do a good job of that. I have a hard time with this whole certification thing because I think it's just a big dick showing contest at the end of the day. I, like we just said, just because you have a cert does not mean that you are a good coach. And I've seen that multiple times, especially in
that goes in any industry though. Like
any
just
industry in
you
fitness,
have your doctorate doesn't mean you're a good doctor. Like,
Exactly. So I'm going to get it because it does matter in today's world as that little signal of, I have achieved this. I have completed this test that says, I know my shit according to you or whatever. But in the end, I think nothing replaces real world experience as long as you have a certification and you are working towards helping people and learning, you know what I mean? And putting the time in. I got my first cert was a CrossFit cert. I learned really quickly in 2 days, and getting my certification said I could coach CrossFit then. I was not ready to teach Olympic weightlifting or anything like that, right? So I was doing a ton of research on my own, hiring coaches of my own so I could be coached, and so therefore I could coach better. There's all these things you can do as you go if you want to be a coach, but just don't get hung up on the certification thing like we were saying, and Logan and Paul said, like just go get one and let's go get some experience, and then from there you can further your certifications, and it's only going to make your value increase, right? But no, I am excited to take that test because it has been, I've learned a lot from it. The one thing if I've learned anything from every certification, is that no certification ever applies to rodeo. So everything you learn is grain of salt. How can we take this and apply it to our sport?
Yes.
But everything else, fuck that. It doesn't work for us. It just doesn't, and it won't, because their sports do not line up like ours. And so when I see young coaches, that's mostly the thing, is they're trying to recreate programs like a football program for rodeo. And it's like, hold up, you can take a piece of that program that would be really great, but the rest of it, you got to throw out and grab something else, and make it for the sport. But enough of that rabbit hole. Guys, summer run is upon us. It's coming up. These guys are getting ready for the next 12 weeks of just grinding. They've got about 4 weeks here of getting ready. And so been talking to a lot of guys about their plan for the road and what their nutrition will look like on the road. And we know that I'm going to apply this to way more than just rodeo athletes going down there. I think we should talk about just nutrition tips for road trips.
Yeah, I mean, it's summertime.
Hey, that was fun to say. Nutrition tips for road trips. Okay. I'm done.
No, I was just going to say, like, yeah, I mean, it's a great topic because, in the way that we would apply it is for the summer run, but for those
summer vacation
listening that don't rodeo, like, they're still going to have summer vacations. Kids are out of school, they're going to have a lot more time, they're going to go on road trips, they're going to do things. So this is applicable way beyond just rodeo athletes.
Heck yeah. And road trips are fun. Like, it's a great way to get the family out, go adventure, experience the more than just your home and things like that. And it's some of my fondest memories as a kid is going on road trips in the summer. And definitely my fondest memories as adult are being on the road whether it's rodeoing or being with Cody on the road, like all of the things, just road tripping's fun. So there are things that arise throughout a road trip that make staying on your plan, on your regiment, a little bit tougher. So first thing I want to go over when it comes to nutrition on the road is, we talked about this not long ago, but in anything, you got to plan ahead, right? You've got to make sure that either it's a cooler in the car with you, you're planning out where you're actually going, and along the way you are saying, hey, like I can go to this restaurant, I can go to this shop, I can go get pre-made meals here, whatever it is. Paul, what do you got? What else you got for that?
Well, that I was gonna kind of echo what you say is, back in the day, like you had to map quest your route, and you print off your directions, and like so you kind of like knew
like pirates
ahead of time. But now like we don't do that anymore. Like when it's like the day of the road trip, like you might punch in Google like once the car's loaded up, and like then you're like, okay, well this is the route that it's going to take us, and it's going to go along. But I would still recommend, like leading up to your road trip, mapping out your route, maybe finding alternate routes, know what towns you're going to go through. Are you going to go through any big towns? When are you going to go through those towns that are going to have more options available for you for food? And then, even beforehand, do a practice run, hit search or hit go on your GPS, and then search a long route for different restaurants that you would like to go to, or larger truck stops and stuff like that. And then you kind of have like, okay, well, if we're leaving at this time, we're going to hit this place at this time. That's going to allow us, a good opportunity to make better choices. We're not going to be out in the middle of the desert somewhere with 200 miles to our next stop. So like you'll have somewhat of a game plan for your travel time and your meal times, and what varieties you're going to have.
That's absolutely perfect, man. I love that travel or that search along route thing. I use that all the time. I don't recommend using it while you're driving, but I use I do like, I'll search along route, especially when I've got the kids with me and the wife. We just came back from Florida a month ago, and so when I leave in the morning, I put in our address, and within the first 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and look for our first stop for the morning. Where do we want to stop at? And I saw that there was a Buc-ee's. Like I wanted to kind of push us a little bit first thing, so the trip would be fine later. So we kind of kept the kids strapped in for 4 hours, but I found that Buc-ee's. It was 225 miles away or whatever, and so I just added that as my stop, and I knew that was where we were going to go. But I do the same thing for lunches, looking at restaurants, looking at the towns that we're going to be going through in a couple hours. I'm thinking about the next meal before it's there, and that's the same thing that we tell clients to do while they're at home prepping. You do the same thing on the road. You've got to plan ahead and think about what's coming up, because when we've all been there, Doug more than us, but we've all been there, hangry. We all get hangry. And when we get hangry, we probably don't make the most appropriate decisions as far as food and nutrition is concerned. So if we're planning ahead, hangry, we can avoid that.
Cinnabon looks really good.
So good. But guilty.
That's the truth.
Yeah, give me that Cinnabon now.
Yeah, no, that is the truth. So good. You walk in that, what is it, Love's has them everywhere.
Yeah.
You're just like,
just the whole place smells so good.
Oh no. Like regret and love. I love it.
Yeah. But then like packing snacks too. Like I love it. Packing snacks that are going to be,
that's my go-to.
Good for your goals. Trail mixes and beef jerky are probably like my top two.
Yeah.
But then you having some protein bars, if you are packing a cooler, you can pack some like celery sticks and hummus if you're into that type of thing, or carrots. My kids love carrots and different vegetables and fruits, and so if we were going on multiple days, day one lunch is always packed, and then all we have to do is find a park to pull over and stop at, and we can have lunch there.
Yep. And summer sausage is a great thing that I throw in there too. We'll cut up some cheese and stuff like that and throw it in. And Icehole Coolers has a badass hybrid cooler that's a backpack that has a magnetic lid. So even if you unstrap it or forget to click it and you're walking with it on your back, it will not, it's a tough magnet. I tried to rip it off, tried to see if it would fumble, and it won't. It stays stay secured.
Dude,
So
that would be
awesome.
perfect for the car because that's the number one thing is always fumbling with zippers or something when you're
Mhm.
reaching for snacks or the rubber gasket ones, like trying to get those open when
Yeah.
you're driving is not super easy.
No, and
But a
those thick ass
magnetic lid would be
zippers are so
perfect.
hard to get open in
Oh
general.
yeah.
So like doing it while you're driving is hard. And I love that it's shaped like a backpack. So it's not shaped like a
Yeah.
typical cooler. So it takes up maybe that much space front to back instead of being this long thing, right? So it takes up like no space, keeps everything cool, literally portable, throw it on the back and go. You can hook fishing rods or whatever you want to the sides of it. It's legit. But we got a discount code for Icehole Coolers too for y'all listening. Champion Living, all one word, caps lock, going to save you 10% on all their gear. They're outstanding coolers, and all their hard coolers are made in the U.S., which is even better.
Way better.
Even better. What's the next thing we got for being on the road? I think we kind of just touched on gas stations and truck stops, but let's talk about, okay, now we found our truck stop or our gas station. What do we do once we get in there? We don't talk to anybody. We keep walking head down.
Yeah,
What do you
keep your
look?
head down.
No eye contact. No eye contact. That truck stops and gas stations.
Whatever smells good, steer away.
Yeah, stay away from it. They're so difficult because especially for our lifestyle and probably a lot of the lifestyle of people listening, the way in the Western sports, we do have a lot of travel, and so we live at Love's truck stops or these different gas stations. And I know for me personally, if I'm going to stop at a gas station, get a snack, which I do pretty regularly, I'm going to make a V line for the refrigerated section and not necessarily the coolers in the back where the drinks are, but typically, and most, especially bigger truck stops, there's an island, like a refrigerated island, and they'll have packaged fruit. They might have hard-boiled eggs. They'll have, sometimes you can get like sandwich meat and stuff like that. And that's going to, the Greek yogurt, single serving Greek yogurts, that's going to be my first stop. I'm going to go look and see if number one, if they have one of those. And then when I get there, what kind of options can I get? And I'm going to try to get as much as I possibly can for whatever meal I may be having or snack from that refrigerated section before I might go through the aisles and look for a protein bar or trail mix. Not that there's anything wrong with trail mix or a protein bar, but I really want to try to find, real food, fruit, veggies, that kind of stuff from the refrigerated section, Greek yogurt if possible, before I'm going to reach for a Core Power or a protein bar.
Mm-hmm. And those islands all have like cold cut sandwiches and salads and stuff that you can choose from too. And depending on where you go, like your bigger gas stations, like a Wally's or a Buc-ee's, like, they might have some hot food that would be okay to choose from. But that they're just not going to be everywhere. Like you're not going to have that option everywhere you go. Most places, if they have hot food, it's all fried and
no hot dogs.
Old grease.
Stay away from the hot dogs.
Empanadas and stuff. Yeah. Stay away from the hot dogs, he says. But I was gonna say, if you're in a Buc-ee's, you're doing good. You could live in Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is legit.
For sure.
They have summer sausage, cheese, like they have all the stuff. They got salads made up. It's awesome. If you can go to a Buc-ee's, go there. You can get exactly what you need there.
And that's where search a long route is gonna probably save you.
But only if you're in Texas.
Yeah, they're getting them over here. They've got 2 in Georgia, and there's
they're
one
starting
in
to build them up
Kentucky,
here too.
and they're starting to get out.
Alabama or Mississippi's got one too.
Yeah, they're coming up north. Colorado's got one coming here. It won't be here before we leave, but it's supposed to be here.
Yep.
We talked about food at the gas stations. I mean, a lot of times we're going to restaurants too, and that's just part of the deal is being out and about and being on the road. You're going to end up being out at a restaurant. And I think we should talk about ways that you can achieve still reaching your goals and eating well, but going out and still enjoying being out, enjoying some food, enjoying friends, whatever it is. Breaking down the menu. If you are someone that's, on a restricted diet or, trying to lose weight or gain muscle, whatever it is, most restaurants you can do a la carte type things. And what I mean by that is you're not just ordering random things. You can take a meal or an entree they've created and alter it a little bit, right? Whether it's fried meat, you can usually have it grilled. Instead, you can, change out maybe the sides from potatoes to rice or whatever you like preference wise. Another great option is a salad with lean protein on it. What's one of my go-tos when I'm out? Hold on one second. Allergies are killing me this morning. But salad is a great option with lean protein. You can honestly put any kind of protein on that. You could get a burger without the bun. I have people that are like, I want to get a burger and fries. I'm like, okay, well, legit, take the bun off. Maybe order 2 patties. If you eat both those patties and then eat however many fries you want after that. It's like, cool. I got to enjoy my burger. I got to have a couple fries, but my focus was the protein that I was getting in. And then I let my body decide when it was done with the fries. Right. Do you guys have any other things that you do when you're at restaurants or advice for clients?
Yeah, one thing that I would say is like if you are on the road for multiple days in a row, like the truck stop, gas station things are only going to take you so far. Like eventually you're going to get burnt out on those options. So like every couple days, like if you're a rodeo athlete and you're trying to save cash and you're trying to eat out as little as possible, make that stop at least every couple days at, say, a Texas Roadhouse or a Cracker Barrel. And I say Texas Roadhouse and Cracker Barrel because no matter where you go in the country, like you're going to get exactly the same thing. It's consistent across the board. You know what's on the menu. You know that the service is going to be good and usually fast. Not always usually, but you know that there's going to be healthy options there, and you can then have a real whole food meal, kind of fill you back up, reset the system, and then head back out.
Heck Absolutely. Yeah, those are my go-to as well. Service will not be quick at Cracker Barrel, just to let you know. If they're consistent about one thing as well, that is also it. They are not
well,
fast.
It's because they're also usually freaking packed too,
yeah,
at certain times of the day. So
and 90% of the people in there over 80. So things are just moving slower in general. But their food is phenomenal. Love it, and it's consistent everywhere. Absolutely.
And if you're like my wife, you're never going to get out of the shopping section very quickly.
Dude, they do have some cool stuff in there. They do. It's easy to get lost in their little games and stuff. What about some last thing that doesn't even relate to food, but it does, is staying hydrated. I think that is something that is really tough to do on the road. And I think that it's also will leave you with that feeling of being hungry if you are dehydrated a lot of the time. So you replace that or mistake that sensation for, damn, I'm hungry, I need a snack. Well, actually, you're just really thirsty. And that's why that's kind of my go-to is when I am feeling hungry, especially after I've eaten recently, I go to the water first and drink some water and see if that takes care of that sensation or if I really am hungry, right?
Yeah, for sure. You need to, if you're listening to the... Oh, sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, you're good, Logan.
You're good. Yeah.
If you haven't done this yet, you need to invest in a water bottle. There is no telling how much money I've invested in my life in $150, $250 water bottles at gas stations and airports. Insane. It's $4 at an airport. It's insane how much money I've spent. But having a good solid water bottle that I can pack with me is a very minimal investment, and I know how many ounces are in there, and I can fill it up at gas stations when I stop. I can fill it up at the airport. A lot of places have the water fountains where you can fill up a bottle, and I'm able to track my intake. And it's one of the smallest investments that will have one of the biggest rewards by investing in a water bottle you can pack with you, not just on road trips. I carry one with me every single place I go. It goes on the lawnmower. It goes with me to the gym. All day long, I'm packing this thing around so I can track my water intake. And I would highly recommend getting a water bottle, especially if you're going to be traveling.
Where can you get those water bottles, Logan?
That's a great question. And Icehole Coolers has some dope, absolutely dope water bottles. You sent us some not too long ago. We just got one in, and they are absolutely outstanding. They're and super tough too. I've used I used that the other day. I had to prop up one of the gates out here, and I didn't have anything. I usually use like a 2x4 or whatever, and I didn't have a 2x4, and so I used my Icehole Cooler bottle, like prop up the gate for just a second, awesome. And it didn't even scratch it. You can, and perfect. The nice thing is you can use them as a weapon if you were ever in a situation in which you had to.
I was gonna say self-defense weapon. Yeah, there's actually three uses for them. So
that would leave a mark for sure.
They will keep you hydrated. They will help you with yard work, and you can use them as self-defense. So
absolutely,
get you some Icehole Coolers.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that just back to the hydration thing quickly. Avoiding sugary drinks and booze is going to be and also something you're going to want to do along the way, because those things are only going to increase your dehydration. If you are drinking energy drinks, things like that, nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But I always like to make sure I have the water on deck that I'm kind of mixing it with, right? I'm not just drinking a full energy drink, bam, and then not have anything for hours. I like
And
to
water first. If you're lighting out early on the road and you grab that energy drink, make sure you're drinking water 1st.
Yep. That's even my rule at home before coffee is I'm always making sure I get at least a half of an Icehole Cooler water bottle down, and some Element Tea. Another good thing you could pack on the road is some rehydration packets. Element Tea is our favorite. I love it. I can tell a big difference when I don't drink it and how I feel, for sure. So make sure you guys are staying hydrated on the road, y'all. Hopefully this was helpful for y'all listening, and you could take something away for your road trips and staying healthy. Again, plan ahead, whether it's planning your stops, planning your snacks, having that cooler on board, staying hydrated. Make sure when you're eating out at restaurants, looking over those menus, seeing what your options are, how you can adjust things for your goals. And when we're at the truck stops and the Buc-ee's, make sure that we're going to those refrigerated sections, getting Whole Foods, getting those water bottles, filling up those water bottles. How about that?
Yeah.
Cool, y'all. It's going to be a great summer. Hope everybody has some great trips planned. If you don't get to planning them, get out with the family, enjoy the time you have. Until next time, we'll catch you later.